Welcome back, everyone. I'm Jason and you're watching Jason Jensen Trains. Many of you have asked lately if I would give a tour of my entire layout. So in today's video, I'm going to show you the entire layout and explain to you sort of my thought process on how I've gotten to this point. And then I'm also going to talk a little bit about the future of the layout and plans for the other side of the room. Now, real quick, this is my third home layout. I've built layouts for clients. My first layout was a lot of track and switches. Great for operating. It left very little room for scenery or structures. So I quickly became bored with it and took it down. I then built my second layout and I cut way back on the track. I did a lot of mountain work, a lot of scenery work. I had some really big bridges on the layout. I had a roundhouse and a turntable, but again, it left very little room for structures. And what I've learned over the years is my true passion in this hobby is structure building. So on my current layout, very little track, and it's mostly structures and scenery. I enjoy sitting back and watching trains run through finished scenery. My layout is DC. I do have a few trains that have sound on them. But like I said, the main focus of my layout is structures, and there will be a lot of scenery. We will be doing rocks and cliffs and maybe some mountain work, and I think that's really going to change the overall feel of the layout when you start seeing mountains, because I want to give the illusion that they blasted into the mountain and sort of carved out roads and carved away areas to bring in the railroad and the town into this area. So again, I think it's really going to change the appearance of it when you start to see large rocks and cliffs and then different types of trees. Okay, let me show you quick some drawings of sort of the overall layout room in the track plan. Now, for reference on the drawings, the door to get into my layout room is right here. So you'll see on the drawings the door, so that'll give you some reference of where we're at in the room. So here is a drawing of the overall layout room. It is 23 feet long and 15 feet wide. And the door I mentioned is right there. So the newest section that we're working on is right there. And then this is the area that we've been working on for the past 2 years. Now you'll notice X's on the different squares and rectangles. All of those are on wheels. so that they can be moved around and placed in different locations for photography. Especially these two squares in the center. They're on cabinets. They will be on cabinets with wheels, and they'll have shelves where you can take off the top diorama, put it on one of the shelves, pull out a different diorama and place it on the top, and then move that into this corner or anywhere along the edge for photography. So these will probably end up just being waterfront dioramas with maybe some boats or possibly even piers on them. Now let me show you the track plan. So again, here is the door, and then this is the area that we've been working on. The red track is on the main level, and this will be industry back here. Lots of switches. I just haven't come up with a plan yet, but I do know that eventually it will get over to this side and loop. I will be putting in 2 switches for expansion if I want to. If, for instance, someday I move into a different house or I decide to make my shop smaller, I then can expand. So there's a loop just like on this side. Then the green track is on a upper level, and it runs the whole length also and loops over here. Now a lot of that, there will be city over here, so a lot of that is on steel girders, and I'll show you on the layout that upper level over here. Now I also have a blue track that will possibly end up being a subway, and it'll be open in the fascia where you can actually see the subway, and then it'll actually go up to the ground level over here in the city. So it's all up in the air. I don't know if that's actually going to happen or not, but that's the plan right now. All right, so let me take the camera off the tripod and give you a closer look at the layout. Now we'll start in the back corner where you can see there's some industry, and then there'll be industry along that back wall eventually. But then we'll travel this way, and I'll show you this area, and then we'll move into the new section. Now the new section, and there will be a section on the other side of the room here, they do not connect to the layout at all. They're basically just large dioramas. Now again, they're on wheels, so they can be moved around for photography. Now there may be some track that I put on it. Say behind some buildings, I may put a strip of track and just have some box cars sitting on it, but it will not connect to the main layout. Okay, so let's start in the back corner. And as you can see, there's industry, and there'll be a lot more industry back here with a lot of switching. So there will be some opportunity to do some operating back here. Now we have a double track bridge right here. That double track will cut across, and go into the future section here. And this mark right here is 3 feet from here to the wall. So I'll probably come off of this at the same angle, go across until I reach 3 feet, and then go straight across. There's the upper level that I talked about. So that train will run and curve in front of these buildings and go on here. Now there will be some steel girder, and then possibly over here there may be some rocks and cliffs that it's on. Haven't decided yet on that. Now this gets filled in right here with styrofoam, and because there's a closet there, and I don't want to get rid of the closet for resale value. So I'm just going to fill that in with a giant piece of styrofoam like we did on the other side of the room, and then I'll paint clouds on that. And then behind the wood trestle there will be a rock cliff, and then possibly some smaller buildings, maybe even N scale up on top. Now I also want to show you where roads will be for cars. So there'll be a road that goes through here and behind. It'll run over here, cut across the tracks, come across, go across the tracks here, along here, and possibly over just a 2-lane bridge right there. And then that road continues and goes over here. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. So I still have to put a black fascia on here to match that side. Eventually there will be 2 large pipes coming out here with water running out of them, and then I'd like to put a large wheel, paddle wheel, on the side of that structure. It's some type of mill. So the bottom is brick and the top will be wood, clapboard siding. The wood trestles are off of my old layout, so they might have to be modified, and I'll have to build rock that fills in that area and then blends into the rock that's on the other side of the train against the wall. So the rock will come up and go up to this level right here. And then I have to build an entire rock cliff or rock face behind these two to fill that in. Now that train runs along there, goes behind these 2 buildings, and you can see the styrofoam right there. It comes out onto steel girders, a steel bridge, and curves through there and goes back and joins it right there. So that track will be raised all through there. Now up here, there will be, for cars, a T intersection. So the road comes straight out and then goes behind that light green building and over there. That road slants and goes downhill in front of those, and goes all the way to that level right there. Now, that road will also go right around there. And then we'll have some more waterfront structures on piers. I'm constantly moving buildings, so these could all change. It just depends. Now this bridge right here is removable. So I just simply lift that bridge out and then I can get back in there to work. And then I can completely, from standing in here, I can touch the wall. It's not that far. So I am able to touch all of the track from anywhere that I'm standing on the layout. Now, any of you who have watched the channel for a while, you have seen me build this entire area. Now, I still have to actually texture all the water. So a lot of these are just sitting in place. So I'll remove these piers with the structures and then texture the water and put them back in place. Now, my latest project has been right here. I built this large retaining wall. It actually might be too tall. I might lower it so that that side over there rests right on the styrofoam right there. So I only have to remove probably 5 rows from the bottom so that it lowers down. And then the train runs through here in circles and goes back over there. And then of course there'll be rocks and dirt and everything behind that retaining wall. And then there'll probably end up being rocks and cliffs in front of it too, with trees, so it won't look quite as big as it does right now. And again, these are all just sitting there to give me an idea of what it will look like. So it may all change. It could actually get N-scale buildings up on that area up there. Then I'll have a tunnel portal right there. Sorry if the camera is kind of shaky. I'm trying to hold it steady and show you what I'm doing. So The road comes through right here, comes around, and then from here starts to go uphill as it curves. So that'll put you up to this level here. Then that road goes through here, and then you can go down or you can turn and go uphill in front of those buildings up to that level. Now there's a alleyway right here where you'll go uphill and you can go up to this area, or there'll be a back alley through here. Now the reason I am constantly moving buildings is because I am always getting down at this level and seeing what it's going to look like, seeing what the background is going to look like. And I really use the structures as my mountains. And I'll do the same with trees. I'll put a line of trees back here that'll sort of fill that in and give me the shape that I want. So a lot of times I will photograph this, and then I can constantly be looking at it, or over the period of a week glance at the photos and see if I like it or not. So before all this was put there, the whole thing sort of went downhill, and I just didn't care for that. So I wanted to go up and over. So that's why I put that new section in there. And like I said, it might still be a little too high. Even looking at it from this angle over here. You can see it really provides a great background. So again, I am constantly looking for shapes. So you can see it dips down, then goes up again. So I'm constantly looking at the silhouette of the background, even with the clouds. I should mention, a lot of people are bothered by this bridge hanging there with nothing in the center. Now there's 2 steel rods under this, so there's no chance of it sagging or splitting. It's solid. But what I may do, which may improve the appearance, is fill this in. Just simply go straight across and then put another V so it's straight. And it may help give the illusion that it doesn't need a center post, but oh well, it serves its purpose. It's just there so that I can remove it, get back in there, and do work if I need to. So again, I just want to show you sort of the silhouette of the background. Even the clouds. I think I have videos for almost every structure on here. So just go back and watch some of my old videos to see how some of these buildings were built. A lot of kit bashing. I think that structure there is 3 kits. I believe it's all from Foscale Models. Again, just to point out, look at the silhouette of the background. So many people ask me, how do you keep your layout clean? How do you keep dust from building up on your layout, which is a constant battle? But there's 2 things that really help. One is taking a piece of paper or anything flat to use as a fan, and it's all you're doing once a day, real quick. Just go around your layout and get that air moving. You don't want the air to just be still and for dust to settle on the layout. So really, like first thing in the morning, I'll get a cup of coffee and come down here, and it doesn't take long, just real quick. Go over the whole thing. And then later on in the day, maybe at lunchtime, run your trains. Run them so that the dirt and dust does not settle on the top of the rails. And it just keeps your train and train cars from getting really dusty and dirty. So it's just constantly having movement. So once a day, just have movement around your layout, and that's really going to cut down on the dust that builds up on it. Okay, now we move over to the new section. Now, you're probably getting tired of hearing me say this, but the whole thing needs to be raised up probably 12 inches. So that'll take care of that space back there. So this is the newest structure that I'm working on. And it's a kit bash using a kit from Foscale Models and a kit from Best Trains. So I had this building sitting there. But you can see, getting down at this level, it blocks the view. It's too tall. So now you can see, with that in place, it's a better view. Now this will be a gas station and bait and tackle shop, and then possibly some repairs. And probably next week I'll have a full video on building that gas station and bait and tackle shop. But the whole thing goes uphill. So you go from 1-story buildings to 2-story to 3-story and just on up the hill. So the lowest point will be in the center. There's kind of a canyon that runs through here. Haven't quite decided yet, but it will be the lowest point right here. Then from there we go uphill. Same on this side. We go uphill, and then everything slants up from here, gradually going up. Now I have a road that comes through here that gets cut, but that road will come through, probably go over a bridge. That bridge will be right there, and then there'll be land, and that road will go around behind that building over, and then you'll turn and that road will go uphill and in front of that building right there. So that road continues and it goes uphill all the way up to the lighthouse. Now you can turn left and go downhill and go through here, or you can go down through here and around, and then there's an alleyway right there. So the water will be just sort of a half circle right there. So again, I have to raise this up 12 inches, and then the road over here that starts right here will be at the same height as this road right here. Because like I'd mentioned in the beginning of the video, I will have basically dioramas on wheels that can be moved. And so I plan on having a diorama that is maybe just a road that can be put in place here that connects to the other side just for photography. That same diorama can be put right here and put in place to connect to the other side of the room just for photography. Now all of this styrofoam will be rocks. I have a lot of rock molds, so there will be a lot of video coming up on how to do rocks, how to paint rocks, and then putting grass, weeds, just the vegetation on it. And then we'll have videos on making trees. I have a lot of trees to put on this layout. And the trees will vary. For instance, you can see a tree here. So I'll have more trees like this over here, but then the further up we get, we start to get into pine trees, and then definitely up on that area, and maybe up here, definitely up around here, all pine trees. And I still have black fascia to put on right there, and then it'll probably end up going up. So just like it goes up right there, it'll go along and then go uphill to match the curve of the land. So a question I get asked all the time is, if I'm going to have a structure that looks new on the layout, or possibly a structure that is just being built. And to answer that, I will say no. Because the enjoyment I get from structure building is making things look extremely old and weathered. That's just the enjoyment that I get out of it. There's nothing wrong with doing structures that look brand new or that are cleaner than what I do. But my passion really is making things look old, and not just old, but making it look like the weather really did that to the structure, that maybe the salt water, the extreme temperature change, extreme rain or snow, whatever, it made that structure turn into that because of neglect. I love doing rust, making things look old and rusty. The layout is basically set during the Depression, and there was just no money to do any type of upkeep, to even simply just paint a structure. But that's a loose time period. It's not set in any specific location, and like I just said, that the year is even very vague. I am just creating a world that I love. I am just thrilled to work on this all the time. Now, with that being said, the other side of the room, originally I thought that would be the big city, with possibly a subway under it, and possibly even that might look a little newer. But the more I work on this, and especially the more I work on the new section, I'm just finding that I really love heavily weathered structures. And I think structures that are on the waterfront are even more heavily weathered because of the weather conditions and the water. It makes them look that way. So I may do more of that on the other side. It could really turn into really big, tall cliffs and rocks where structures are sort of built on it and hanging off of the cliff. Definitely doing more waterfront. So we'll just have to see. A year from now, 2 years from now, by the time I make it over to that side, my interests maybe will have changed. So we'll just see. In the past, I've tried to on my last two layouts, I tried to plan everything out and really stick to that plan. And for the first time, I am not sticking to a plan. I am just sort of always going off of how I'm feeling, how I'm inspired. And you can see with how I'm building the layout, I'm not doing it in a specific order. I have areas that are completely finished. I have areas where now, a lot of the structures will have to be moved, and I'll have to do rock work, put in roads, put in sidewalks, and then put everything back in place. So it's really just how I'm feeling day to day and what I'm inspired to build. And then I'm constantly seeing new kits come out that I'm like, I love that kit. There's so much I could do with it, or I could kit bash it with one or two other kits and create something completely new. So it's constantly changing. I'm excited though about doing industrial buildings. I'm pretty set on this area back here with having switches and just factories and industry back there. So that's really going to be exciting, and that too will be just very grungy and dirty, very old and worn down, and a lot of rust. So, all right, well, that's all I have for today. Hopefully you enjoyed the layout tour. Hopefully it gives you some ideas for your layout. Don't get stuck into thinking that you have to build it a certain way, or that you have to stick to a definite plan. Plans can change. Do what motivates you and do what you love. You should definitely model the way that you want to, because it's your hobby and you should get the most enjoyment that you possibly can out of it. And if you photograph it and share it on Facebook and there's other people that don't like what you've done, or say that, well, that's not prototypical, well, that's their opinion and they're entitled to that opinion. But again, model what you love. It is your hobby. All right, well, again, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. I have so many videos coming up. I have videos planned for years to come showing you how I am building this entire layout. And it will take years. So thank you so much for watching. I always appreciate it. And please leave me a comment in the comment section below. I love hearing from all of you. So until next time, stay motivated and happy modeling, everyone.